Happy Friday! I'm Cheryl Fidelman, life coach, trauma healer, and writer. Today is October 25th, I think. I always get the date wrong. But I know it's the last Friday in October 2019. And happy Fridays with Fidelman. Today's topic is the secrets in our house. I think that's what I'm going to call it. I haven't sent the email out. Either the secrets in our house or trauma is a secret. It's really what I'm getting at is that trauma is a secret and trauma causes a life of secrets. And oftentimes those secrets are held in our house. We live these secret lives. And so much of our experience of life is a secret. And that's not to say that the antithesis of that is just like telling everybody all of our problems at all times, right? But there's some force of trauma that forces us to keep it inside, and sometimes it's even a secret to ourselves, that which is affecting our choices and our decisions and the way in which we're relating. I've had a lot of clients, and myself included, I've had a lot of clients who are in relationships. They've been in relationships for 5, 10, 20 years. And what is actually happening psychologically and emotionally in that relationship, nobody in their life knows about, right? They present as if it's just a normal relationship. When I was in that relationship that I've shared many times, the 3.5-year abusive relationship, nobody knew. Nobody knew what I was going through in that relationship. Nobody knew what was happening. Nobody knew that what was binding us together was the codependent narcissistic stronghold that we were in. What was binding us together was my consistent need and desire to prove myself, my consistent need and desire to make him happy, that when we went home, it was just this constant tug of war of God, what is he going to want today that I'm going to need to satisfy? How many things am I going to have to sell out on? And these were all my choices that I wasn't totally aware of at the time, that I was actually making the choice to stay in this relationship and keep it hidden and act as if we're cool. We're like this cool San Francisco couple, or that's where I lived at the time in the Bay Area. And for me, and it's different for everybody, but the root of my secrecy started when I was a kid. And I don't think that this is unique to me. I think all of our secrecy start when we're kids. If you drive by a block of houses or a block of apartment buildings, behind each and every window that you see is a secret. Something happening in that household that nobody's talking about. They're either not talking about it to each other, or they're not talking about it to their friends, their families, their neighbors. They're not going to a therapist or a coach to talk about it. They're just not talking about it. And repression becomes a normal way of being. We don't even question our repression. I always, when I was growing up, we grew up in the suburbs, and I always had this sort of complex because my house was, or my experience of it, my memory of it was that my house was the one that was always overgrown. The grass is overgrown, the trees were overgrown, the bushes were overgrown. And part of the reason why the tree in front of the house was overgrown is because my mother didn't want anybody to look in the window. She wanted, because she was paranoid that people were looking in the window. And so she always had these issues with the neighbors and projecting things into the neighbors' heads that she thought they were thinking about her, and she thought people were staring in our window. And so I always felt like we lived in the different weird house, almost like the Addams Family house on the block, I mean, it didn't look as dark and black and like sort of um, mysterious as the Addams Family house, but it was, not as landscaped as all of the other houses were. And so it's not like we talked about that with the neighbors. It's not like I saw the neighbors on the street and they were like, hey, it looks like, something weird's happening in your house, or like, what are you guys hiding from? Or it's not like I went and told my neighbors, like, you probably noticed that our tree is like completely covering our house. So there's something happening in our house where my mom's like really scared about people looking in our house. We didn't talk about it. It just wasn't mentioned. No matter how it would be mentioned in conversation, it just wasn't talked about. It just was the way things were. And what I'm pointing to with that is like some secrets are obvious. Like I think the trees overgrown in my house and the way my house looked from the outside, and a lot of the loud screaming and yelling that I'm sure was heard by the neighbors. It just wasn't taught. That was the obvious stuff. Like a lot of our problems or issues are obvious that nobody talked about. And then there was stuff that just wasn't totally obvious. The interpersonal relationships in my house that couldn't have been heard by the neighbors. The moments of abuse, the moments of aggression and repression, and our relationship to money and our relationship to food, or having no food, or when my mom didn't pay the heating bill, so she would sleep in front of the stove. She'd turn on the stove and sleep on the floor from the stove. I think I shared that one before. But so there's things that I wouldn't tell anybody at that time in my life, and they weren't obvious. And they were just secrets that I brought through my whole life. And so I think that we are conditioned to live in a secret home. That the inner workings of how our world is created at home is just not spoken about. And one of the reasons is we don't want to blow our cover. We want help, but we don't really want to admit that we want help. And if somebody actually helps us and notices, number one, it would be embarrassing, it would be humiliating, possibly. And also, it actually might change what's happening here. And what's happening here, even though I know it's off and not right, there's a comfort in it. And I don't want my comfort level to shift in any way, shape, or form. So I'm going to hold on to these secrets for the life of me. And also at work, I've talked to a lot of people who were like, I'm working this job. I don't want to work this job. I hate this job, but it's the only job that I can get, and it's the only job that will pay me this salary. But I'm doing things at my job that I don't want to do, but I'm not telling anybody at my job that I don't want to do them. I'm not having conversations at my job where I can, partner with somebody to delegate some of this work. I'm constantly afraid that I'm going to get fired. I'm constantly afraid that people are going to notice something's off with me. So all of these fears, all the things that are going on in your mind that has you trapped in the situation, but you're not telling anybody, those also are secrets, okay? They're reactions to the consistent way in which we've constructed our lives, that it's like all of the stuff that we don't like about it, that doesn't feel good about it, that we actually don't agree with, but we're doing it anyway. When it's so habitual for people to say, "Hi, how are you? Good, how are you?" You see somebody in the elevator at work or on the street or at the supermarket. "Hey, how are you? Good, how are you? How are you? Good, how are you? Good, good, how are you? Good, 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 how are you? Good, good, how are you? Good, 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 good." That's the extent of a lot of our interaction, right? And so, although those are niceties, And that's how we've been trained to just acknowledge somebody else is there. Hi, how are you? Good. It's not often like a real question. It's just really just saying underneath it is like, I acknowledge your presence. Great, I acknowledge your presence too. Cool. And then you move on. But if we were really asking the question, hi, how are you? And we were really answering the question, would you ever meet somebody in the elevator? Hi, how are you? Actually, I had sex last night that I just really didn't want to have, and I feel like shit about it. That's what would really be there for you. Hi, how are you? Well, I'm at this job right now. I'm walking into work. It's a job that completely doesn't satisfy my dreams or my passions or my missions or my goal in life. And it's not an expression of my true gifts. But I'm here because I'm just really settling. Or I just don't see any other possibility. Or I'm trapped in paying child support or alimony, or I think I don't have a large skill set, or for some reason I'm in this job, I really don't want to be here and I don't enjoy it every single day. I don't enjoy it. So those are like secrets. It's a whole list of secrets that we just keep and we don't say. And again, I'm not pointing to or suggesting that everything in life we just need to have on loudspeaker. There are certainly private things that we just tell our partner or just tell our therapist, or that we keep because they're sacred to us, or we're just not ready to share them because there's too much trigger around that anecdote or story. But when it comes to trauma keeps, unhealed trauma holds and locks secrets in our life. So how many things in your life are just a secret? You haven't told anybody. You don't want to tell anybody. But you actually really, if you really think about it, you'd like to be freed from it. You'd like to be freed from that secret. That possibly putting it into dialogue, putting it into words, and actually saying it would provide some freedom for you from the freedom that holding on to that secret is sucking. Secrets suck on our freedom. They hold our self-expression. They keep us in contexts and relationships and situations that we don't otherwise want to be in, but we don't want to throw anybody under the bus. We don't want to really reveal anything about ourselves. And a lot of it is like, we're keeping the secrets from ourselves. Like when I was in that relationship and I wasn't telling anybody what was happening in that relationship, on some level, I really wasn't even telling myself. Like, Cheryl, this is not, you don't feel good here. Such a smaller version of yourself, Cheryl, is in this relationship. You're sad and scared and not being loved in a way that feels good every single day. What's going on? What are you doing? I wasn't even saying that to myself. I was just trying to manipulate the relationship every single day so that eventually it would become the thing that I want it to be. And I wasn't even telling myself that, let alone going and telling other people, like, hey, I'm in this relationship that I'm codependently manipulating every single day because someday I think it'll be healthy and good. My story was more like, this is what's happening to me. This is the relationship, and the relationship is happening to me. And then eventually I started to realize that my circumstances weren't happening to me, that I was the architect of these circumstances. And then once I realized that, it still took me quite some time to remove myself from that relationship. Because even though I had some realizations, there were a lot of patterns that I just couldn't stop doing yet. And that took a lot of healing and training, and also letting go of the things that I liked about the relationship. because there were certainly things that I liked about the relationship. Um, and overall, the main thing I liked about it was that I had a companion. And I think that's another reason why a lot of people won't blow the horn on what's actually happening in their relationship, because they want to have a companion. They don't want to give that up. Or they don't want to blow the horn on how they really feel about their job, because they need to keep their job and they want to have a job. And all of that, all of those reasons to hold secrets, they're perfectly valid reasons, and there's nothing wrong with those reasons. But once we start to reveal our secrets, at least firstly to ourselves, then we can start to move through life differently and start looking at creating what it is that our heart and soul actually really wants, and not what our secrets want. Okay? Our secrets want our potential. Our secrets want to protect us and keep us safe and keep us like in a really, really tight, small box. For example, when I was a child, I held a lot of secrets that went on in my household because I wanted to stay protected. I wanted to stay in the container that I was. If I said anything about what was really going on in my household, then that might actually I might have to shift my life. And like, first of all, my mom would go nuts if she knew I was telling people about what was happening in the household. And then I totally wouldn't be safe with whatever amount of safety that I had. I'm sorry, I'm moving off of the Wi-Fi. Sorry about that. So keeping secrets as a child is often really important because we're trying to not change our holding environment or not change or shift our reality. So secrets keep us locked into the reality that we know. And what's beyond releasing these secrets are completely other realities, other possibilities, other realms of existence that we just don't know yet. And that there's so many secrets in life, right? There are the secrets of trauma, the secrets of codependence, like all of the codependent elements in our relationships that we're just not telling people, that we're locked into. And then we have other people's secrets that we're holding, not just our secrets. But the construct of this relationship is also my partner's secret that I'm holding. When I was about 12, I think I've shared many times, I've been in therapy since I was 12, which was 30 years ago. And I started telling my therapist that what was happening in my house. And Child Protective Services would show up at my house. I remember at least twice, maybe it happened more than that. And when they came, I thought, oh my God, this is a result of me blowing the whistle on what was happening in my house to my therapist. And we lied. We said, everything is fine. Everything is fine. Nothing's wrong. We would, yell at them off, to get out of off our property, and everything's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. And so I was like, I'm telling the therapist because I feel like I need to tell somebody, and then I'm seeing the result of having told somebody, and I'm denying it at the same time. So it's like I created the cycle of secrecy, denial, secrecy, denial, secrecy, denial, which is another big component of how secrets suck our life. Because we may say it to somebody somewhere in some environment where we feel safe, but when it actually comes to making a move on shifting our life beyond the secret, we'll oftentimes say, no, I didn't say that. No, everything's fine. Everything's fine. So it's like courage, shut down, denial. Courage to say it and then shut down in denial. So what are the secrets that you're holding on to? What are the secrets that you're holding on to for yourself? What are your partner's secrets that you're holding on to? If there's anything that you want to email me, um, just secrets about yourself, like this is the thing I'm not telling myself, this is the thing I'm not telling other people, this is the thing that like has a hold on my life, and I don't want anybody to know. Even if it's something that happened to you 10, 20, 30 years ago, this thing happened to me, I know it's affecting me, and I never told anybody. So if you want to just think about it on your own, it can be really freeing to actually just say to yourself, say it out loud when you're in your house or your apartment or your car. This is a secret I've never said, and just actually speak it and see what that provides for you. And if you want, you can email me, hey, this is a secret, or if you want to have a session, we can actually hold the space for the things to come out of your mouth that you just don't speak about. That's it, everybody. Have an awesome weekend. Probably some Halloween parties going on this weekend. Be safe, have a blast, be self-expressed, wear costumes, go nuts. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I keep forgetting to make that request at the end of my videos. And happy healing. You're awesome. And life is now. Life is now, everybody. Bye.